Am I the butthole for choosing my niece over my brother after we all learned she wasn't his? Over a year ago, my brother found out my niece, who was 6 at the time, was not his biological daughter. Something his BTCH of an ex-girlfriend had lain to him about. After finding out, he basically cut off all contact with his ex and my niece. Moved out of their shared apartment and refused to have anything else to do with them. I, 30 meters, have mixed feelings about that, but I wasn't the one cheated on or lied to, so I can't say I understand his complicated emotions. The rest of my family, like my parents and other siblings, also cut off all contact. So basically the only family my niece knew her entire life were not involved anymore. It didn't feel right for me to do that too. I've loved my niece since the day she was born. I'm her godfather and everything, even if we're not biologically related. The idea of not being in her life anymore hurt. So I stuck around. My brother was always against me still being involved, but in the end it became one of those things we don't have a problem with as long as we don't talk about it. Even if I hated having to interact with her mom, I still got to spend time with my niece and take her out. Before all this happened, my niece's mom has been struggling with health problems, and now we're learning that her time is limited. She herself has no other family, so she's asking if I'd take over as my niece's legal guardian once she's not here anymore. We haven't started the legal process yet, but I've already agreed I'll take care of her. My parents are completely against this since it means my niece will be in my life permanently, and I'd be an awful person for putting my brother in that kind of position. I'd never force them to meet, but it does mean from now on I'd have to keep distance from him since he still wants nothing to do with her. My brother found out about this too, and he's furious. I've gotten an earful from him about how I'm the worst brother ever, and a selfish crap for taking in the one person he wants no involvement with. Honestly, I knew this would not make him happy at all, but the level of hate I'm getting from my family is not what I expected. I really can't see myself not taking her in because it's either me or foster care. So when he gave me that ultimatum, him or her, I ended up going for her. Still, haven't heard the end of it from everyone else for betraying my brother again like his ex did. It's getting harder and harder to not feel like a total butthole for doing this and not sure anymore. Am I the butthole? Edit, since I've seen this asked more than once. We already know who the biological father is, and he's aware too. However, he is the last person that should ever have custody of a child, and even if he was interested in being involved, that would not be a safe environment for my niece, nor would he have any lucky getting a court to go through with that given his history. Not the butthole. That little girl needs one adult who loves her unconditionally, and that's you. Anyone who chooses to send you hate over this loving choice can go pound salt. You made the best choice you possibly could, and you can cut anyone out of your life who doesn't support you. Good on ya, original poster. Well done you. Plus, your brother needs help if he thinks that punishing the little girl is the right answer. He helped raise her, he and his family are who she knew to be hers. I understand it's painful for him, but he needs to rein himself in. Edit, typo. It's painful for him, but how painful is it for this poor innocent little girl? So horrible. Yeah. I kind of think that a 6-year-old's feelings and mental health are more important. Losing her whole family for something she had no control of must have been very traumatic. Original poster is awesome. I know what the brother went through was beyond terrible, but he's not the only one hurt in this. It's time he got over it or got help to get over it. Not the butthole. This. And original poster is her godfather. You know, exactly the person you ask because you know they'll be reliable and in your kid's life and be someone your kid has a bond with. I know they're not automatically legal guardians, but a lot are asked exactly so that should something weird to happen to the parents, there's this other person their child has a bond with, regardless of actual guardianship. So original poster, not the butthole. You are quite literally doing the exact thing your brother asked you to be, when you said yes to being a godparent. ETA, guys, thank you so much for the awards. I love the support we're able to give so many like original poster, and thank you for that. Heart, heart, heart. Exactly. The godfather role isn't meant to be an empty gesture, it's a role of responsibility. I can't imagine punishing an innocent child for the sins of their parent. I can't believe original poster's family so readily cut contact with a child they've supposedly loved for 6 years. Unreal. It just amazes me how cruel people can be to an innocent when they've been hurt by someone else. I truly can't imagine how earth-shattering and devastating this has been on that poor child. He probably should stay away till he figures out how to handle it. Sadly. That kid is innocent. She also is still a reminder of his past relationship and how he was betrayed. He is going to have to ultimately deal with a serious betrayal emotionally before he can handle being around the kid. He also in a way did the kid a service by leaving. Kids pick up on when they aren't wanted. By leaving he spared the kid the pain of constantly living with someone that reminds them of just how unwanted they are and not worthy of their love. By leaving it probably hurt. Also, spares them constantly being in that pain. Kids are adaptable and as a result, can likely move past it easier this way. Psychiatrist here. Better start her on therapy when she's still young and her mental image on life and relationships haven't truly cemented yet. He claimed to love her for 6 years and is able to now say he hates her? Is his love for his sibling as easy to cancel? Not the butthole original poster. Obviously with him calling his brother the worst ever and giving an ultimatum over this little girl with nobody and this selfish guy who was her father for 6 years of her life. He has no heart. Plenty of people flip from loving their partners to hating them. The two emotions are a lot closer than people realize. I think everyone insisting original poster must also cut her off is super effed up, but I get how feeling that your whole life is based on a lie could complete upend your emotional apple cart. If he doesn't love the little girl anymore then he doesn't. Staying around a kid you resent, that constantly reminds you of horrible crap you went through. That's not healthy for anyone either. That poor girl. Reign, like a horse, not reign, like a king, yes AITA. Take my upvote. Hate to be a naysayer but that error always grinds my gears too, closely followed by pique my interest instead of pique my interest. By the way, original poster is not the butthole. My cousin is on the same boat as original poster's brother. He found out his daughter wasn't his when she was around 6 years old, and we were all heartbroken. Although he's not her biological father, she considers him her dad. She doesn't know about any of this, and us her family. My cousin knew that he couldn't walk out of her life because she had no control about the situation. Your cousin is awesome for putting the child he has raised first. For all intents and purposes he is her father. Love makes a family. Not DNA. Aelgar's cousin demonstrates the character that original poster's brother lacks, and is a far better man in every regard. What you have chosen to do for this innocent human, is the exact opposite from selfish. Your brother needs to go get himself a dictionary and look up the word selfish, so he can learn what it actually means. He might actually be surprised to see a picture of himself next to the definition. Family is not necessarily blood, chosen family is oftentimes much more rewarding. You're one amazing person, original poster. Edit. If she's not in therapy already, make sure you make preparations. She has now lost literally everyone but you, and though you obviously are willing to be her everything, it's important to recognize that you're one person. I can ignore the brother's actions, but how her grandparents can wake up and just stop loving the little girl that was their granddaughter for 6 years is beyond me. You're doing the right thing. If your family can't see that, then you're better off. Not the butthole at all. You are putting a child's needs first. And whether related or not, you have a bond with the child. It's understandable that your brother is having a hard time with all of it, and by proxy that your family is too. But how could they all so quickly and easily turn their back on a child they had presumably treated like family for 6 years? Is your brother named on the birth certificate? Was a DNA test done to confirm he's not the father? Either way, if your family wants you to pick sides, it sounds like your niece is going to have an amazing guardian who doesn't have to deal with extended family anymore. Original poster replies. Yes, there was a paternity test done, and as far as I know he's still on the birth certificate but not paying anything in terms of child support. Okay, you need a lawyer. If he's on the birth certificate, then he may be able to put her in the foster care system without your approval. When I was a social worker, I would look for someone in extended family, even unrelated biologically, to place a child with. Our foster homes are full. In this case, we would have done a home study, and if original poster passed, we would have paid them to care for the child. Original poster replies. Yes, that's why we're looking into what can be done. Yeah, this is lawyer time. Not Google, Esquire time, proper. Get a local family lawyer with experience in custody situations. Get a lawyer, tomorrow. Before your brother does. You need to anticipate and be prepared for anything he might do to try to scupper the adoption. Have the lawyer draw up papers for the mother to sign, stating that it is her wish, as the de facto sole parent for the past year, that you adopt. You and she need to work as a team. Document your brother's history of neglect, because he has already demonstrated himself unfit to have any say in anything. Not the butthole. Everyone's anger here is misplaced but yours. I understand your brother having complicated feelings about this, but his daughter, this child he raised for 6 years, he abandoned. Your parents abandoned their grandchild. What her mother did was inexcusable, but her daughter is paying the price, and that is not fair. She is literally a child. Again, I understand your family's complicated feelings, however, they need to get over themselves. There was a time that they loved this child, and this child was their family. How dare they be upset with you for not turning your back on her and for being there for her when she needs it? They'd rather she go into foster care because they are mad at her mother. They need to grow up. Family isn't just blood. You are so right about the misplaced anger. If this was otherwise a truly loving family before this revelation, I can't understand how you just turn off the love for a child/grandchild after 6 years. You think finding out she's about to be motherless as well would make them more sympathetic and understanding about your point of view, not less. Good luck to original poster with everything. I can understand the brother having complicated feelings, but the child did nothing wrong. How does the whole family just turn off your love for a kid because, oh well, not a relative after 6 years? And, when you know she has no other family? It's so cold. It's impressive that original poster has this much compassion with this kind of family. My husband had a very similar situation, only difference was that his presumed daughter was born out of a one-night stand. Found out that she wasn't his when she was 5 years old. He offered the mother to stay in her life and explain the truth when she was older and able to understand, however the mother chose to cease all contact with him to preserve her lies. Husband's family broke ties with the innocent little girl immediately and never speak of her again. It's as if they are relieved that she isn't his. I'm still gobsmacked about how they could just walk away from their only granddaughter and niece after 5 years and erase her from their lives. They simply have no empathy towards her at all. The hatred for her mother has completely blinded them. We are still hoping that the daughter will come looking for the truth one day. Our door will always be open for her. Original poster sounds like a loving, decent human being for not stopping to care for his niece just because of her genetic makeup. No buttholes here. You are doing a good thing, but that doesn't negate the fact that this is probably the most painful thing that has ever happened to your brother in his life, probably effed him up long term, and he can't be completely free of this in order to move on because of you. I agree. It's not the girl's fault, she is innocent and blameless. But original poster's brother is justifiably hurt, and I wouldn't blame him if every time he saw that little girl he was reminded about the fact that the person he loved betrayed and lied to him for 6 years. I wouldn't blame him for not wanting that reminder of the most effed up part of his life. So the brother doesn't have to see her. The end. Resigning a 6-year-old girl to foster care where she is highly vulnerable and likely to be abused in a myriad of ways, guaranteed in my opinion and experience of foster care, but I digress, when she could be taken in by a willing and loving person who has known her since birth, absolutely makes the brother/family huge odds. She was his daughter for 6 years, and he prefers she be put in one of the worst situations a vulnerable child can be in, so he can, albeit tear that's truly cruel and selfish. He doesn't have to have anything to do with the child, and neither do the grandparents. Sentencing her to foster care, so they don't have to deal with their emotions, is objectively awful and self-absorbed, and I blame them fully. Not the butthole. Blood or not, your brother abandoned this girl. He's the father she knew, and I guarantee he hurt her more than his ex hurt him. And I don't get how he could just turn off his love for her, anyway. Honestly, that's alarming. I'm so grateful to hear she'll have you. Thank you for being the parent she does deserve, but I'm sorry you're getting such heat for it. So grateful to know you're going to do right by her anyway. God, if you listened to your brother, he'd have her abandoned twice. First by him, then given to foster care. That's just so heartless. Not the butthole. And I'm going to be honest here, the fact that your brother raised this child for 6 years as his own daughter and now wants her to go into the foster care system just to preserve his own feelings and pride makes me think that he's not a great person, tbqh. Terrible things happen to children in foster care. Terrible. I know this firsthand. I would not wish that on anyone for any reason. I certainly wouldn't inflict it on a child I'd known since she was born just because her parent had cheated on me. How selfish is he? No buttholes here. Obviously the little girl is innocent, but that doesn't mean your brother can ever feel the same about her again. Every time he looks at her he will see the biggest betrayal of his life. She's not his daughter. But at the same time he shouldn't be mad at you for stepping up. Although I understand why he wishes he could just pretend like this never happened and not have to see her ever again. Info. So where is the bio dad? Wouldn't he be next of kin? I would go with the unpopular no buttholes here. What you are trying to do by giving your niece a home is absolutely wonderful, but I do get where your brother is coming from, because depending on how he expresses his grief over this situation, he is somewhat pinning that on the child. Is it right? No. But are his feelings of hurt and betrayal valid? Yes. I would suggest having a very open conversation with your brother and family, but separately. See if there is any middle ground / therapy, and also if it has been a few years, why is this still bothering him, or is he past the cheating? It's very easy to cut off people, but takes a lot to maintain relationships. See if Terry's anything left to save before going NC. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.